Duck. Happy Hardscrabble Day. My name is Pieter Estersohn, and this is my home in Red Hook called Staats Hall, built in 1839. Come on in, I'll give you a visit. So the house was built in 1839 by Henry Staats, Dutch family. My first name is Dutch, P-I-E-T-E-R. And he was a farmer. He had about 2,000 acres here. He was the guy who started Dutchess County Agricultural Society, was one of the founders of the Dutchess County Fair, and chose to put his house here in Red Hook on these incredible alluvial soils that we have right in the middle. We're sort of about halfway between, just outside of Red Hook, a couple of miles. So he sited the house here because there's two ponds in the back and he could have irrigation for the crops that were closest to the house. And built this house in the Greek Revival style, which was so popular in the 1830s. Sort of became very popular in America. It was the American vocabulary of architecture in the 1830s. Sort of in homage to the Greek independence, and our newly developing and evolving identity as a separate country from England. So come on in. We found the steps are from a church out in Sheffield, Massachusetts, and it just fit exactly here, so we put them here. So it's called Staats Hall because there's sort of many different parts to this axis right here. So you have the tympanum and the columns in the front, the porch, this little entry vestibule, this sort of bizarre closet area, the proper hall, and then as you go out and back, the back hall, the back steps, and we go out into the grounds in the back with its very fried and dry green grass due to the very dry summer that we've had. So, this is my son Elio and his wonderful duck, who he's going to tell you about right now.
So this is Mr. Duck. He's my oldest male. He's 12 weeks old now, and yeah, he's kind of the leader of the pack.
Here we're going into the living room. That's all. So my mom was an abstract expressionist painter, so all of her paintings are on the walls here. From sort of the 50s, 60s, 70s. Over there, and then there's just all sorts of, there's lots of animals in the house, like lions and all sorts of weird classical details. It's a bar, it's another one of my mom's paintings. We had gentleman, David Flaherty, come up and do all the plaster medallions on the walls here, which were made up of like all sorts of little pieces that he'd been taking silicone molds of for ages, from 1820s, 30s, and 40s houses. This was originally a double parlor that had two coal fireplaces, and we turned it into one room with this cool fireplace that I found at a salvage place in New York, and it just sort of fit exactly with the moldings and the scale of the house. So that was sort of cool, and get wonderful, there's like light on three sides here, so it's like really light in here all the time. This is a painting by my dear friend Tanya Minhas. I did that, and all sorts of books from travels, and this sort of classical secretary guy we have here. Here we are going into the dining room. All the plaster on the walls was just this very chalky lime plaster. Here we put a lot of pigment in it. So it's sort of this Pompeian Etruscan red, or Rothko red. There's a picture of Elio and I when he was a little kid. Fireplace was here. I think there's 5 fireplaces here. Painting by my mom. And really cool original molding all around the windows, which is sort of typical of the Greek Revival period, this sort of design. But I call it sort of, it's very simple in a way, and sort of, I call it sort of like the Donald Judd molding of the early 19th century. Here we're going from the dining room into the library, which is also where we watch TV. There's a lot of photographs up on the wall there. There's a frame that is from a house called Ankeny, which is near Rhinecliff, which is another Greek revival house, and a friend of mine had it in his attic and sold it to me. Gotta find something to put in there. This is my friend Tanya, did this wonderful mural on the wall for us. I wanted something sort of modern in here as well. And she just worked directly on the plaster. And I love all these sort of great tones in there. And then this is my collection of, for the most part, Dutchess County historical books. When I was doing my book on the Livingstons, Life Along the Hudson, there's all these books. There's so much information on this area. And then so there's books that I published and written, and then things that I use for research as well. Doing a lot of research on landscape design. So there's a lot of interesting information on Calvert Vaux, A.J. Downing, who was the guy at Blithewood, which is on Bard campus, and at Montgomery Place, who sort of invented landscape design in America in the 1830s here in our region. Here we're walking into the kitchen with sort of cool mantle that I found up in Oneonta after some designs by Margaret Lefevre. And then my mom had collected all of these Delft tiles when she was a painting student in Holland. So I had Robbie Dixon, our brilliant local plaster master, set these into the fireplace. Which is what they would have done in Holland. And I figured since the guy, Henry Staats, who had built the house was Dutch and the family was Dutch, that I could sort of get away with it. I didn't want the kitchen to look sort of like a kitchen so much, like a lot of cupboards and stuff like that. So I found this cool piece up in Maine, which is from the 1830s, and brought it down for all of our storage. Chairs are from when I was a little kid from my mom and dad. And then we just went to IKEA and got these sort of cool stainless steel cabinets, and then got some marble for the splash back from Kingston. And then we go from the kitchen out to what I built as an addition. And we use this room a lot in the spring, summer, and fall. And there's a garage underneath. So these are the chairs from the kitchen when I was a little kid. I found this cool table, classical table, at the Rhinebeck's Antiques Fair, and then all this furniture is from my grandma, my grandpa. They had it in their house in Westchester. And then we go out the back window here, and we are in the backyard. So there's 2 ponds, which are really cool. Got a fire pit, and there was these two ponds, and then I sort of put stones on each side to sort of make it look like there was, proper bridges going across. Anyway, so they're really cool now, and there's one on the other side of that pond, and then it goes out to a stream. There's lots of duckweed out there. Maybe somebody has seen this as well in the area. And then the stream eventually goes out to the White Clay Kill. As you walk up the stairs, there's a cool old Scottish clock from about the 1830s. All sorts of paintings of my mom's. Most of these, I sat on the ground when she was painting them, so it's really cool for me to have them in the house, because I have memories of being a little kid and watching her make them. This chair walks around at night by itself. And then on this table here in the landing, there's just all different books that I've worked on or written over the years, mostly on architecture, design, travel, entertaining, stuff like that. This is my son's bathroom. Let's see what state it's in. Anyway, It's not so bad. Anyway, it's another old painting of my mom's. This was a bedroom, but there was no proper bathroom upstairs, so we put this in. Here we're going from the landing upstairs into the master bedroom. Another old mantle that I found up in Oneonta with some paintings of my mom and some presents from my son, Elio. So this room found this cool old bed from the period from about 1830 down in New Orleans, and brought it up here. It's about 10.5 feet tall. It's pretty gigantic. And then on the other side of the room, there's just some old textiles on the wall. On the other side of the room, we have the pocket doors that were originally downstairs that we moved up here to separate the bathroom and the bedroom up here. So here's the master bathroom. This is the one new thing I brought into the house, which is this tub, which I had made out in just south of Saugerties. Found this like gigantic armoire here from 1830s as well down in New Orleans and brought it up. And then this is just a sink that we made out of an old server from the dining room, and some paintings that my mom made for me when I was a little kid, and some horses that we brought back from Sweden when I was a little kid. And then crazy old scale here, and this funny picture of me by Robert Mapplethorpe from like 1986 when I was working in New York. There's a little hallway upstairs which takes us to this room, which is what we use as a gallery and an office space. It's my desk down there, and basically I just put stuff from the family up on the walls from my grandfather, my grandmother, paintings my mom did, a lot of things that Elio has done. We use it sort of as an overflow guest room. So there's a cool old bed here. It's never super clean because there's always a lot of work going on up here. But it's very personal. Every single thing on these walls has a real personal connection and family significance. So it's not just throwing stuff up on the wall. Like there's stuff that my grandparents used to do, these needle points. That's a picture I took of Elio for an ad. That's a room I photographed in Egypt. Something for Architectural Digest in New York, and some photos for Ralph Lauren advertising that I took. So there's all sorts of cool stuff. This is a friend of mine, Marty Burns, did a drawing of the house, which I used on some stationery and calling cards. He's like really talented guy. Here we have the agricultural fields behind Staats Hall, which are part of the original Staats farm, begun by Henry Staats in the 1830s on land that he had purchased from the Livingstons in 1830, presently farmed by the brilliant Kenny Migliorelli. A lot of this stuff goes down to his farm stands, down to restaurants in New York, and this is an amazing area. We are so happy to live in this wonderful community of Red Hook. There are some turkeys down there by the farm barn, and going up in there. Hope you guys have a wonderful Hardscrabble day. Enjoy. We live in a wonderful town here. I'm so happy to be here with my son Elio. We really enjoy it. Have a good day.